I've shared on this channel before all the different diets that I tried out and different healing modalities, just because I'm so curious and because of this new interest that I discovered. And that went on for a couple of years. And then after I completed my studies as a certified health coach, I saw a specific course that my sister told me about. It's an autoimmune reversal protocol, and I looked at a short introduction video and I thought, okay, that could be something that could be helpful for me, especially working with clients. And my health at that stage had improved quite substantially, and I didn't think that I needed any more improvement, or the things that were still going on in my health, I didn't think that there was a correlation between that and what was going still on in my diet. And I, like my personality, when I have a new challenge, I like to put it to the test, and I started doing the 6 weeks course, and I also jumped into the practical, and it was for me very overwhelming. I was eating very healthy. I've already made many changes and have experienced huge improvements in my health, but this was completely different. It was gluten-free, and then it was also making everything from scratch. I was still making a lot of my food, but I was still buying a lot of processed foods, buying lots of supplements. And the course is, the name of the course is the MedMissionary Autoimmune Reversal Protocol, or they also call it Anti-Inflammatory. It was written specifically for clients with autoimmune, but they have found that it's been very helpful with many scenarios, many different types of illnesses. And that's just because the body works as a whole. It's not just isolated parts that we need to treat, it works as a whole. And what's interesting, if you follow a diet that's going to help for, say, autoimmune, it's also going to help for other things in your life. So I put this to the test. The program was written by Mercy Ballard and Dr. Joyce Choi, and feeling completely overwhelmed and baking all these funny breads, flatbreads, and learning to soak and sprout, and all my legumes, all my seeds and things. But the rewards was amazing. It was quite interesting for me. I am a very practical person, so that's unfortunately how I always end up trying many things within limits. I'll put a link into that video that I recently made about all the diets that I tried out. But it was for me very interesting because at that stage, I was just finished with biological dentistry, and I completely overworked my mouth. I had serious TMJ issues going on, and I was at a normal dentist, and he sent me to physiotherapist, and that was very helpful. But there was still a small amount of pain that I was experiencing, and what was very interesting for me is that completely went away. So definitely this protocol also helps for nerve pain. My husband also did it 2 years ago, or I would say a year and a half ago. He also followed it for about 9-10 months, and it helped him a lot with his back pain, because he was battling with a lot of serious nerve pain after his car accident. And I really did not think at that stage that my health can improve. And that's what's so interesting, is that one doesn't really realize where your health is till the day that you even feel better. So it was just one day I realized I don't have that shooting pains in my mouth anymore. So that was really amazing for me. I learned, if I can describe it in simple terms, how the diet works is that it goes through a strict phase, which is also called the elimination phase. So most things is taken out of the diet that would affect the most part of the population, if I can put it that way. So it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's 100% plant-based. Everything is made from scratch. There's no processed foods in it, and that's why it was so overwhelming for me. I had to make everything from scratch. And I also learned natural remedies, and it was so interesting and so powerful to learn that onions and garlic and lemon, that you can do so much with that, and that you can learn how to make a poultice from a grated potato. And I saw with my own eyes that how swelling would disappear overnight. And for instance, if you put like a raw half an onion, or you can cut it in a thick slice, you put it under your feet. If someone is coughing at night, you tape it, and then the cough completely disappears. So it's been very interesting for me. They are Seventh-day Adventist, but anyone can do the course. So you can do the course as a facilitator if you want to coach clients through the course, and I've done that for a while together with Dr. Jade Erasmus. I coach clients, but people can also do the course themselves. Patients can do it themselves. And I just wish more people could realize how their lives could change, because I've tried so many times, you tell people about it, but people don't realize. That's the biggest thing, is that people don't realize the effect of diet and lifestyle on health issues. Is that I've seen that health issues can be completely turned around when you eat basically back through the Garden of Eden. So the first step is that you need to heal the gut, because most of us today are, even if we don't realize it, we think we feel great, but our guts are compromised because of the way that we're living, all the stress, and not getting enough sun, not drinking enough water, being exposed to a lot of toxins and in the environment, but also then all the toxins that we eat ourselves, and the skin care that we slap on ourselves, and all the cleaning products that we use. So we are exposed to a lot of toxins, and the elimination phase is the strict phase to do, but it is to help the gut to heal. And if you take 6 weeks or even 2 to 4 months in your life, it's actually a very short period of time, but that's what makes it very difficult for people, because you've got to make your own food. If you go somewhere, you need to take your food with. And that's the social factor. I think it's the biggest challenge for most people, to say no, and I have people feel bad for taking their own food along. Although most people are not even bothered with you bringing your own food. It's just your own. You must just be relaxed and confident, and most people will understand. So you go through that strict phase, and you implement the diet, you implement the daily remedies and protocols, and then you also learn natural remedies, so that if you get the start of a cold or something, or you've got some detox symptoms, as to how to handle it. Then once your symptoms have disappeared, you go on a maintenance phase. Now the maintenance phase, I've been following it now for a couple of years, and I feel so wonderful that I really don't want to go back to anything else. So the maintenance phase is that you now start reintroducing foods back into the diet. Like, for instance, they will cut out, in the strict phase, they will cut out nightshades, that's your potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, cayennes, and then one by one, you will put them back. They also cut out high glycemic fruits, like grapes, watermelon, mangoes, so those are also cut out. They also bring back one by one. The same with your grains and your beans. And because you're doing it one by one, you can see how your body is reacting to it. So I've been on the maintenance phase. I did this course September, it will be 5 years ago I did it. And obviously, looking back, I didn't do it perfect, because you have your own ideas and you think you're clever. And I remember I was still eating healthy desserts that I made once a week, and I was still using coconut oil just because I couldn't get a replacement for the coconut oil. And then in the interim I learned, no, but you can use coconut butter. The difference is where the oil is extracted, so it's processed now because a part of the plant is taken away. And where if you use coconut butter, it's the whole coconut that's processed. And that's the way that God made our bodies. He gave us the whole food, so that's the best form to eat it in. So, but what was interesting for me, and then I did, obviously you want to get out of the strict phase as soon as possible, because it's difficult. You can't eat in restaurants, you can't eat with other people, and you know, our social life is very important for us. But anyway, I did it my way and the best that I could, and I had huge benefits from it. I was completely sold out after all the years of experimenting, and I learned so many other things about health that I didn't know, because I was 18 months on a plant-based way of living, but I didn't get the same results. And if I can look back at it, it's because it was still a lot of processed foods. Like if you use soya milk powder, it's highly processed, especially when the proteins are processed. It becomes very dangerous. It forms free glutamates, which is a neurotoxin to your brain. It's similar to MSG. So now that I'm just eating the whole foods, it's completely different. The results was completely different. But what was very interesting for me is that my husband he was in a very big accident 4 years ago, just over 4 years ago, and he was really struggling even after a back op, and he was on all the different types of medicines. I will make a video of that one day. It was quite a challenging time for us and for him, and then also if you're the person next to the patient, you know, to go along with it and see how someone is suffering and that the medication is just not helping. But anyway, after a long time, I sent him to Dr. J.D. Rasmus, and then she suggested that he follows this protocol, because obviously he wouldn't listen to his wife. I knew he had to do it, but I had to get someone else to convince him. But what was interesting for me was now that I was going to do the protocol with him, there was no way that I was just going to let him do it and then I'll be eating other veggies and other fruits and other breads and things in front of him. But because I had the experience and the knowledge, I was able from day one, so that was last year, just after his birthday, the 23rd of April, we started on the strict protocol. But because I have done it previously and I've been on the maintenance phase, so I knew how to make everything. It's not like when I did it the first time. I still had to figure out and learn, and everything was just new and very overwhelming. So from day one, I could make everything for him, and I did exactly the same. I used the slippery elm, the lemon and garlic drinks, and it blew my mind away that even I've been on the strict phase, I've been on the maintenance phase, but that even further healing could take place. So we followed that from April till November, the strict phase, and then we started reintroducing, you know, the fruits and the veggies and the grains and the nuts and all the other things. And ever since I've been on the maintenance phase, because I mean, if you're completely sold out and you feel fantastic, why would you ever want to go back? And I mean, I've paid the price, I've tested so many things. This is definitely the cheapest way that I've eaten, because it's the minimum supplements that you have to use. It's only if you really have a documented reason that you would use anything. So I had a complete 360 turnaround view on, you know, what it takes to become completely healthy, and I can really feel the difference doing it the second time, even better than the first time, because I knew now how to do it. So I can really encourage, maybe you've done it before and you didn't really get the results, is you can always do it again. And so we've been on the maintenance phase. I'm slightly stricter than my husband. He will still now and then eat something, but I just don't want to do it to myself. You know, I've compromised my health over many years, and you know, I didn't do it for spiritual reasons initially. It was just to get out of pain. But the more that I'm following this way of eating, I am convinced that this is the way that the Lord wants us to eat. This is the way, this is the food God made for Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, or for man, even before Eve was there. And they were supposed to eat from the garden. He gave them not a processed food. He didn't even give them a kettle or a blender, although we can make our life easier with those things today. But it was unprocessed. It was food in the whole food form. It was balanced. Yes, the quality of food was better, obviously, than what we've got today. But I could just say from everything that I've tasted and tried out, and I mean, that's why I feel I can really give an opinion, because I've been following it now for 5 years, and it has completely changed my life. It also changed my husband's life, because now he's able to cope with his back pain. I must also say he hasn't slowed down because of the pain and because of the side effects of the accident with the whiplash and everything. So he's also got a fast-paced life, and he's never let it, he's never used it as an excuse not to work. And he does also a lot of physical building and things all the time. He's picking up heavy things now, obviously responsible, and it was a build up. But today he's not using any medicine, and if he does overwork himself, which he sometimes tends to do, he's slightly experiencing a pain for a day or two, and then he's back to his old self again. So we follow this 99.9% of the time, unless we go to a wedding or a special birthday or something like that, or on a special occasion we will eat out, but then we'll make the best choices. And yeah, so I think why it would be good for someone to follow this program, because these changes are very difficult if you are not in a support group and if you're not following a program. I remember many years ago I also did the metabolic balance program, and although I'm not experiencing the results that I experience now, it was very helpful for me, because I learned to quit sugar completely. Because when I started my health journey, as an example, I went from a lot of sugar in my coffee and in my food, and I replaced everything with honey. So I was still having a lot of sugar. And with the metabolic program, because I was on it for many weeks, and I was coached by a doctor, I was able to quit the sugar. You need that support. You need to be part of a program, because a lot of these food substances are very addictive, and one doesn't really realize the addictive nature of most of these foods. So I can really recommend the MedMissionary Protocol course if you're a patient. I've seen testimonies of people that had MS, and even people that have had cancer. So there's many different, and then obviously autoimmune, people with lupus and a lot of those serious autoimmune conditions where their lives have completely changed around, people that couldn't even walk. So I can really recommend, I'll put a link in the description box below where you can have a look at the information of the course, and you can also have a look on the YouTube channel. They obviously also go into church history and things that was for me very interesting. In the interim, I've also become a Seventh-day Adventist, just because of the things that I learned there. I was in the church many years ago, then I went out of the church, and I went, obviously, as I experimented with food and diets, I did the same with all the different churches, and I visited many churches, attended many churches, till one day I decided, no, I've just had enough of church going, and I stopped going to church altogether. Not because I was not a Christian anymore, but just because it was very interesting for me. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, in the interim now, I'm back at church, and yeah, as I say, God didn't make a mistake when He made us, and when He also created the food for us. And we must remember that sin, the first sin, came into this world because of appetite. It was not that Eve didn't have enough food to eat. She had more than enough to eat, but she wanted to eat the one thing she was not allowed to eat. And if I think about it, it's exactly the same. People still want to eat. They know, for example, like junk food is bad for them, but they still want to eat the junk food. So appetite is a very important thing, and it is something that we can conquer. Sometimes we just need help, because the food industry is not really helping, because the foods are very addictive. So I'm sold out to this protocol. I'm sold out to eating the way that God intended for us to do. And you can reverse aging. I can really say I get a lot of compliments for my skin. I used to have a lot of skin pigmentation all over my face. I used to cover myself in makeup. Now I'm much older and I feel comfortable in my skin. I'm not wearing any makeup. I don't have to cover up anymore, and you're really going to put a pause on that aging button, and you're probably going to feel younger. I'm now 55. I feel much younger than when I was 40. I was 40, 41. I was at my worst when it came to my own health, and today I feel much better. I've got a lot of energy. My skin is glowing, and the foods that we eat can make us more anxious. I can say I used to battle with a bit, not a lot, but a bit of anxiety, and I could always go into the stress mode. Now today, I just don't experience that at all, and I think a lot of the foods are, not that I think it, I know it, a lot of foods are contributing to anxiety. And yeah, so if you're interested, you feel free to ask me questions below. And then I know they've also got different pricing for different countries. So on their page, you can look at the different options that you can follow. But yes, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did so, remember to hit the like button. And remember, take care of your health. It's precious. And then remember to subscribe if you want to stay tuned to the videos that I make. Have a wonderful day.